Hi children, welcome to my channel Easy Learning. So, let us continue the first chapter in 8th standard science topic, that is protection from weeds. Already 4 steps of agricultural practices I have completed in my video. So, this is the 5th step of agricultural practice, that is known as protection from weeds. Along with the process of cultivation, along with the crop, large number of undesirable plants grow along with them. So those undesirable plants which grow along with the crop in the field, they are known as weeds. So what is meant by weeds? Weeds are the undesirable plant or the unwanted plants which grow along with the crop. They are known as the weeds. So why this weed should be removed? So why the farmers they should remove the weeds? What is the purpose of removing the weeds? What will happen if the weeds are not removed in the field? So let us see how the weeds are removed. So that process of removing the weeds, that process it is known as weeding. So the process of removal of the weeds, they are known as weeding. So how this process of weeding takes place, or what will happen if weeds are present there in the field? So if weeds are present there in the field, what will happen means that they compete with the crop for light, space and nutrient and water. So at that time, they will also consume all these materials which is needed for the growth. So the crops will not grow healthier and the yield will be very less. So that is why we have to remove the weeds, that is the unwanted plants which grow along with the crops in the field. Fifth step and one of the most important step in the process of cultivation, because if weeds are present there in the crops will not grow healthier, and what will happen? The yield or the product will be very less if they are not removed from the field. Main process which is utilized by the farmers for removing the weeds. So the main process, that is, it can be done with the help of machine, can be done in 2 ways. Weeding can be done in 2 ways. One, it is the manually. Manually it can be done, or it can be done with the help of machine. With the help of the machines, it can be done. That is, the process of removing the weeds, it can be done. This already I have explained in the second step when I have explained sowing. So in that, seed drill is the machine which is used to remove the weeds. In the first step of agricultural practice also told about an implement, that is agricultural implement which helps to remove the weeds, that is the hoe. Hoe is another implement which is used for removing the weeds. Or ploughing is another process by which the weeds can be removed. So how it is done, how the process of weeding is done, and when it should be done, that is when the weeds should be removed. When we are sowing the seeds along with the crops, the unwanted plants also will grow, but at what stage it should be removed? So it should be removed at the flowering stage, that is before the flower comes. Before the flower comes from the crop, then the weed should be removed. So it can be done in 2 ways, either manually or with the help of machine. So seed drill is another method which is used for removing the weeds. Seed drill is also another method which is used for removing the weeds. Another way by which it can be done is by tilling. When we are tilling, that is before sowing the seeds, we till or plough the field. So when we are ploughing the field, the unwanted plants which is present there in the field, it will be uprooted and it will be along with the soil and it get decomposed and it adds nutrients to the soil. That is another way. Another one method which is used for removing the weeds, that is manually it can be done. That is with the help of a device known as kurpi. Kurpi is the device which is used by the people for removing the weeds. That is, it has got the shape of a sickle. So this is kurpi. It is sickle shaped in structure. With the help of the kurpi, the weeds can be removed, which grows along with the crop, because when it grows along with the crops, they compete with the crop for water, then for nutrients, space and light. So it should be removed during the flowering stage, before the flower starts to produce in the crop. At that time, before that, the weed should be removed so that the yield will be better, or the method of removing the weeds. One more method it is there. That is, first already I have told, it can be done with the help of people. That is, manually it can be done. Then with the help of the machines it can be done. Another one more method it is that with the help of chemicals. With the help of chemicals also, the weeds can be removed. So those chemicals which is used to kill the weeds, they are known as weedicides. So those chemical substances which are used to kill the weeds, they are known as the weedicide. One simple example for weedicide is 2,4-D. This is one example of weedicide, 2,4-D. It is a pesticide or a weedicide. That is, weedicide means the chemical substances or the chemicals which kills the weeds. They are known as weedicide. So it will be sprayed along with the crop and the weeds will be dried off or it will be killed. Okay, so that the crops can grow healthier. So these are the three main methods for removing the weeds. So the process of removing weeds, it is known as weeding. It can be done either manually by the use of chemicals or with the help of machines. Okay, and by manually it is done with the help of kurpi, and by machines it is used with the help of seed drill or plowing or tilling. Then with the help of the chemicals it is used with the help of weedicide. And the main stage at which the weeds are removed, it is what? It is during the flowering stage. Before the flowering stage, it should be removed because it will compete with the crop for sunlight, for space, for water and nutrients. Okay, so here when they are using these chemicals or weedicide, the farmer should take care that they should cover their nose while spraying the weedicide to the crop, because when they inhale, it may result in serious conditions of lung diseases for the people who are in contact with these chemicals. So that is one disadvantage if the weedicides are used in the field, because it may affect the human health. Okay, so next step of agricultural practice. This is the fifth step, that is protection from weeds. The next step it is the harvesting step. Harvesting. So what is meant by harvesting? From the term itself we know after the crops becomes matured, when they are in full grown, that is when they grow matured or when they are in full in size, at that time it is time for them to cut. So the process of cutting the crop when they are matured, that process it is known as harvesting. Okay, so the cutting of the crops once they are matured, they are known as, that particular process it is known as harvesting. And this process of harvesting, it is done with the help of a harvester. It is done with the help of harvester, or it is another implement which is used for harvesting. It is known as combine. Combine is another machine which is the implement which is used for cutting the crops. At the same time, it is used for removing the grains from the chaff also. So, with the help of the harvester. That is meant by harvesting. Harvesting means the process of cutting the crops once the crop gets matured. That particular process it is known as harvesting. And it takes, what is the time period for harvesting? It takes nearly 3 to 4 months for the plants to get matured. So, it takes 3 to 4 months. Once the seeds are sown into the field, then it takes 3 to 4 months for the plants to mature. And once they get matured, then the farmers, they will do the harvesting process. So, this harvesting process, it is done with the help of the harvester. Okay. So, once the crop, it is been harvested, that is with the help of mainly the harvester, it is the sickle sack. Sickle. Already I have drawn the picture of the sickle. This is the sickle. So, that sickle is the instrument which is, or the device which is used by the people to do it manually for removing the crop or cutting the crop from the matured plant. Okay. So, once the crop it is being harvested, then the grains which is present on the plant, or another term for that, it is known as the chaff. So, that grain should be removed. So, that process of removing the grains from the chaff, it is known as threshing. So, threshing means the process of removing the grains from the staff. So, after cutting the crop, that particular grains which is present on that plant, it should be removed. So, that particular process of removing or separating the grains from the chaff, it is known as threshing. So, it is done with the help of another one more device. It is known as combine. Combine means it does both works, that is the harvesting as well as threshing. So, that is why that particular implement is known as combine. It is a combined harvester and thresher. So, nowadays the farmers, they are using the combine because it does the harvesting process at the same time it removes the grain from the chaff with the help of that particular machine. So, the labor it will be reduced, the time it will be saved. Okay, so that is why nowadays the combine is the particular implement which is used by the farmers for doing the process of harvesting. So, it does the harvesting work at the same time it does the threshing work also, that is it removes the grain from the chaff. So, after removing the grain from the chaff, that grains it contains lots of impurities, that is certain waste materials which is not needed along with the grains will be present there. So, that it can be removed with the help of another process known as the winnowing. So, with the help of a device known as winnower. So, winnowing is the another method. Winnowing is the another method for removing the lightweight components which is present along with the grains. Only the good quality grains will come down and then the unwanted impurities will be removed along with the help of the wind. So, in the particular winnower, the farmer or the persons who are doing that work, they will take the grains and then it will be kept above. It will be lifted above the head and then they will do like this. When they are shaking that winnower with the help of the wind, only the good quality grains will come down or the lightweight impurities will be removed. So, that is another method which is done in the field after the process of harvesting and threshing. So, after the process of harvesting and threshing, winnowing it is being done, the action which is done by the farmers for removing the impurities which is present along with the grain. So, next we move on to the last step of the agricultural practice, that is known as storage. So, storage is considered to be the last step of agricultural practice, at the same time very important also, because when we are storing the grains, if we are not taking any care, then it may result in lots of damages to the grain. So, we have to take lots of care for storing the grains. So, before that is after cutting the crop and doing the harvesting process, threshing process and winnowing process also, that grain contains lots of moisture. Moisture means what? Moisture means water content will be there in the grains. So, if we are keeping the grains in the sack like that and it is stored in that particular manner only, then the moisture which is present along with the grains, it may result in the action of microorganism, that is the fungal attack may take place along with the grains and it will be damaged. Okay, so after doing the process of harvesting, threshing and winnowing, the grain should be dried under sun so that all the moisture content which is present along with the grains, it will be removed. Then we have to remove the moisture content which is present along with the grains. So, it should be dried under sun and then only that once all the water content it is removed from the grains, then only we have to store it in a safe manner. So, if it is done in a large scale, then the farmers, they will store it in silos and granaries. So, if it is done in a large scale, that is large area, if the process of cultivation is done, then the farmers, they use the silos and granaries for storing the grains. If it is done in a small scale, then the jute bags or sacks, jute bags, or they are known as sacks. jute bag or sack are used to store the grains, and once we are storing the grains, it should be stored in a proper manner, that we should take care that the moisture content is not present there along with the grains. So if the moisture content is present there, then it damages the grains, and it will, by the action of microorganism, and it will make it not unfit for usage. Okay, so organisms may grow along with the grains, and it may result lots of health problems also. Okay, so it damages the grain. So here the jute bag and sack, it is used on a small scale, and silos or granaries are used on a large scale. If the cultivation is done on a large scale, then silos and granaries are used for storing the grains, whereas if it is done on a small scale, then the jute bag and sack is used. Similarly, the neem leaves are also used. That is, neem leaves, it will prevent the attack of insects. So, similarly, neem leaves are also used to put along with the grains when they are stored either in sacks or silos and granaries. And if it is on a large scale, sometimes these farmers, they may use some chemical treatments for preventing the attack of germs, then pests, insects, and microorganisms. Okay, so some chemical treatments are also done by the farmers if it is done on a large scale. So I have explained all the 7 points which comes under the agricultural practices, that is the 7 steps. First one, it is the preparation of the soil. Second one, it is sowing. Third one, it is adding manure and fertilizer. Fourth one, it is irrigation. Fifth one, it is protection from weeds. Sixth one, it is harvesting. And seventh one, it is storage. So these are the 7 important steps in cultivation of the crop. So next we move on to the last and small topic of this chapter, that is the food which is obtained from animals. Food obtained from animals. Food from animals. Just like plants, plants provide in different varieties of foods for the human beings, isn't it? So same way, from animals also, some type of foods it is available. Last topic of this particular chapter, it is food from animals. So just like plants, they provide large varieties of food, the animals also provide food to human beings. In the people who are staying in coastal areas, they consume more fish, or they give importance as fish as one of the most important food factor in their diet, those who are living in coastal areas. Similarly, we have seen in this chapter that in the production of the crop, the different steps, how the fruit it is being obtained or the yield is being obtained from the plants. Same way, there are certain group of people, those who grow or rear the animals on a large scale. On a large scale, if the rearing of the animals is done, that is, they are providing food, they are providing shelter, and care. So, if that particular rearing of animals is done on a large scale, then that particular process it is known as animal husbandry. So, how can you define animal husbandry? That is, rearing of animals which is done on a large scale by providing food, shelter and care. So, that particular process it is known as animal husbandry. So, with this topic, we will come to the end of this chapter, of the first chapter of 8th standard science, that is crop production and management. So, I hope you have understood all the points which I have discussed today in this video, that is regarding the 3 main steps of agricultural practice: protection from weeds, harvesting and storage. And what are the main implements which is used in all these processes? What are the steps which is taken by the farmers for doing all these processes? So, I have explained in detail in 3 videos this particular chapter. So, I hope you have understood the whole chapter. I hope you have understood. So, let's wind up video. I'll be uploading with the NCERT solution of this particular chapter. That is all the exercises which is given at the back of the lesson. I hope you have understood. So, thank you children.